Living in Ontario brings with it a lot of responsibility. Your job affects not only those around you, but your family and community as well. So keeping safe and healthy while at work is in the best interests of everyone. And the easiest way to ensure that is to work with your employer. That means knowing what you should do and asking questions, so you can participate in being safe at work. Let's start here. You may already be familiar with this little green book because it's supposed to be available in every Ontario workplace, the Occupational Health and Safety Act. It affects practically every workplace and everyone in the workplace. That includes not only all employees, workers, and managers, but also a company's directors, suppliers, and constructors as well. So whether you're on the job from 9 to 5, or work the evening shift in an office or a store, maybe at a factory, a construction or quarry site, in a fast food place, on a route making deliveries, or work only as a part-timer, you are very likely covered by the Occupational Health and Safety Act. There are also regulations for specific jobs, some of which may apply to you. Regulations for industrial, construction, mines, diving, firefighters, healthcare, oil and gas offshore, teachers, rollover protective devices, WHMIS, and window cleaning. Further details on these regulations should come from your employer or by contacting the Ontario Ministry of Labour. There are 3 basic rights for all employees: the right to know about any hazards, the right to participate in keeping the workplace healthy and safe, and the right to refuse unsafe work. Along with those rights, you have responsibilities. For example, that you don't do anything reckless on the job. This can endanger yourself or others. That you always practice safe work procedures. That you report unsafe conditions as quickly as possible if you see them. And that you wear any protective equipment the job requires. That's your part. But safety is a two-way street. The fact is, your employer also has, by law, important duties. Your employer must make sure the necessary equipment and protective devices are provided, ensure that you work safely and use the equipment and protective devices properly, tell you of job hazards and give safe work instructions, keep records of exposure levels, chemicals used, equipment maintenance, and make these available. And most important, take every reasonable precaution to protect workers. One way to work safe is to have everyone participate. And by law, every workplace with more than 5 but less than 20 workers must have a health and safety representative. Where there are 20 or more workers, a joint health and safety committee is required. The committee has to work together to help solve occupational health and safety issues before there's an injury. It also recommends ways to improve conditions in the workplace. The committee is made up of both workers and management who together have a shared duty to make their workplace safe. One of the ways that happens is through regular inspections. This usually happens with 2 committee members going through the workplace. They should check things like the state of emergency exits, fire extinguishers, chemical use and storage, electrical and mechanical equipment. It should all be part of a comprehensive list, which becomes part of the company's health and safety files and should be accessible to anyone who requires it. Find out who the representatives or committee members are in the place where you work. Although your supervisor is the first person you should tell about any health and safety concerns you have, you can, if you want, speak to your health and safety representative or the members of your workplace committee. A workplace hazard is any condition, practice, behavior, or combination of these that can cause injury or illness in a person or damage property. Whenever you go into a new workplace, or even the same one you've been in for many times before, be on the lookout for hazards. The most apparent safety hazards involve machines. The belts and pulleys, sharp blades, moving parts and guards, energy hazards and the use of electricity, hydraulics, steam or heat. Material handling with conveyors, lift trucks and tow motors, hands-on lifting and carrying. Confined spaces with entry and exit methods, observers and rescue provisions. Work practices, the standard operating procedures of production or the flow and speed of work. Always be sure that you receive specific training and ask questions about the hazards you recognize as a potential risk to yourself or your co-workers. There are also health hazards that may be present in your workplace, such as excessive noise, radiation equipment, biological hazards in food processing or service areas, ergonomic hazards leading to sprain and strain injuries involving repetitive motion, force, and a static posture, and finally, chemical hazards. In order to make sure that workers across Canada have a consistent way to safely handle chemicals, the federal and provincial governments enacted a special set of laws. It's called WHMIS, the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System. There are 3 elements to WHMIS: warning labels, material safety data sheets known as MSDSs, and worker training. The warning labels are the first alert to warn you that a particular container is holding something hazardous. 8 different WHMIS symbols identify the class or type of hazardous material in a container. Here's how they appear on the warning labels. If you are working with any such containers, your employer must give you special WHMIS training for the safe use and handling of the substance. Details about these substances are contained on the material safety data sheets. These MSDSs are to be available for every hazardous material in the workplace. Information about safe handling, storage, and emergencies are contained on each sheet. Ask to see them and read the use and handling guidelines. If you're in a job that requires you to wear special protective equipment, use it. Make sure it fits properly and meets the safety standards. There's lots of examples of personal protective equipment. Some seem obvious, but others may be less so. A hard hat protects your head against falling objects, while a hairnet keeps your hair tucked in away from machine parts. Non-slip safety boots are a must around construction sites and in many factories. Look for the CSA approval. Protect your hands by using the recommended gloves for the job. Block out dangerous levels of noise with the right kind of hearing protection, but make sure you can still notice any emergency signals. And for your eyes, safety glasses or goggles are essential wherever there is a chance of any airborne debris. Think of a car's seat belt as the best example for wearing personal protective equipment. You may buckle up every day for years, but it takes just one split second for you to realize how valuable it is. Be aware of your surroundings and ask questions. Get to know the emergency procedures at your workplace. That includes knowing where the fire alarms, extinguishers, and exits are located. Make sure that they're accessible and not blocked. If there's a no smoking order, don't light up. Fires start fast and burn furiously. Every second is precious. If you notice the fire starting, set off the alarm and call for assistance at once. Finally, if you get the chance, learn how to provide basic first aid. It's a simple skill to learn, but one that can be a lifesaver not only at work, but also at home or while you're out. All of these laws and regulations you are hearing about were passed by the government and are enforced by the Ministry of Labor. Inspectors from the Ministry of Labor may visit a workplace from time to see that the same standards are applied everywhere. They can ask to speak to a worker representative, tour the worksite to check for problem areas, and conduct a safety audit. These Ministry of Labor officials may inspect, investigate, and enforce on all issues related to the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Contraventions of the law can lead to compliance orders, stop work orders, charges, and prosecution in a court. Individual employees may be fined up to $25,000 and spend up to 1 year in jail. Companies can be fined up to $500,000 per offense. As well, chief executive officers are also personally responsible for their company's actions and can be prosecuted. And that's the law. A workplace injury or illness must be reported to the employer and first aid given if necessary. The Workplace Safety and Insurance Board must also receive that report of any injury or illness. The WSIB is a no-fault system that provides injured workers with compensation as required. But workplace injuries and illnesses can be prevented, and the primary goal of the WSIB, its mission, is to eliminate all workplace injuries and illnesses. As part of its prevention strategy, the WSIB is encouraging everyone to understand and put into practice responsibility for safety at work. Support for this is happening right across Ontario. One example happens to be this video program you are watching right now. It's being created as part of our mission. We want everyone in the workplace, including the CEOs, supervisors, managers, and workers, to cooperate and use an internal responsibility system that they manage at their workplace. It requires all staff to work together to help make the workplace a safe place. This video serves as an introductory awareness program only. Specific information relating to your job and your workplace particulars should be provided by your employer. For more details, contact the Health and Safety Association, which best serves you.